Hello everyone, Tom with Capo Fetish. Today we're going to talk about our favorite first 3 album runs. And, usually with artists, it takes them a good 2 or 3 albums to get into the groove when they start getting really great. And there's those other artists like these, right out of the gate, they're just on fire. So I'm going to present 5 or 6 of my favorite first 3 album runs for you right now. Starting off with Elvis Costello. He put out 3 in a row that were magnificent. First one is My Aim Is True from 1977. This has a band named Clover backing him up on all the tunes. I think Huey Lewis was in this band at one point. But right out of the gate, he's an amazing songwriter. This album has more kind of a pub rock feel. We got Welcome to the Working Week, Blame It on Kane, Allison, beautiful ballad, Watching the Detectives, Less Than Zero. I mean, just song for song, one of the great debuts of all time. So then in 1978, he puts out his second album with a whole new sound, whole new band. He has this band, The Attractions, backing him up, and the sound is really tight. The bass and drums, in fact, are just super tight, making it into a wholly different kind of band. And if you've ever seen Elvis Costello in his prime, it's like, even today, it's just song after song after song live when they play. I mean, they're just on fire. So this album from the get-go is just rocking, no action. This is the US version. It has Radio closing it out. But just song for song, Lipstick Vogue, Hand in Hand. I mean, one of the just great, perfect sequence albums of all time here. This is this year's Model from 1978. And then probably my favorite Elvis Costello album. It kind of goes between these 3 off and on, but I always comes back to this one. And this is his 3rd record, released in 1979, produced by Nick Lowe. And this is Armed Forces. And this is a more kind of a pop-oriented approach, a little more production, but just song for song again. He's moving into new territory, but the songs don't suffer. They just get even better. Accidents Will Happen starts it off, just one of his greatest. Senior Service, Oliver's Army, ends with What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding. Yeah, incredible 3rd album, incredible 3-run album deal there for Elvis Costello. And another one I thought about too was Jimi Hendrix. I mean, 3 albums in his lifetime, and all just absolutely flawless. The first one of the greatest debuts of all time. Nobody had ever heard anything like this. This is a first pressing copy here from 67. Very, very old, scratched up, but we've all heard Purple Haze, Manic Depression, Hey Joe, Love or Confusion, May This Be Love, I Don't Live Today. It's just amazing what he conveys in these songs, just between the guitar, his voice. He's such an underrated vocalist. He has beautiful ballads, The Wind Cries Mary, and he has just trippy stuff like Third Stone from the Sun. Ends with one of the greatest songs ever, Are You Experienced, with one of the best backward guitar solos of all time. Then, the same year, later in the year, he releases an album. It sounds a little different, a little more experimental, but just as good, Axis Bold as Love. Known for Little Wing, If 6 Was 9. There's a lot of great deep cuts on here. She's So Fine by Noel Redding, I always like that. You Got Me Floatin', the first track on side 2, just absolutely rocks. Little Miss Lover, the title track is phenomenal. The whole thing is phenomenal. And again, just on a roll here. His 2nd album, Axis Bold as Love. Then we have his 3rd album from 68, a double album, Electric Ladyland. I mean, can you think of a better 3 in a row? Pretty amazing, right? And The Gods Made Love, all the way to Voodoo Child's Slight Return. Everything on here is just incredible. You know, he just takes you on a journey. That part on Moon Turn the Tides, what he's doing there, incredible. So ahead of his time. So yeah, another great 3-album run from Jimi Hendrix. Next is a band I love, Los Angeles band. They're known as a punk band, but I think they're more than that, way more than that. They're just a great rock and roll band, and that is X from Los Angeles. They put out 3 albums in a row that were just absolutely seamless. You don't have to remove one cut or change one cut or push the button. Every cut is amazing. They're rocking. It's hook-filled. Billy Zoom's guitar is just absolutely spot on every song, everything he puts into the song. Exene and John Doe's vocals are like kind of like Paul Kantner and Grace Slick. They're like a Punk Jefferson Airplane with those vocals. It's incredible. So the first album, and all three albums too, produced by Ray Manzarek. This first album just, yeah, every tune is fantastic. Second album came out in '81. Another just straightforward. They're actually doing they're going a little more hardcore in a couple of cuts, but all in all, the songs are more melodic, and Some Other Time is great. White Girl, great single from that time, one of the great singles. So yeah, their second album was magnificent. Their third album, Under the Big Black Sun, continues in the same vein, maybe a little tougher sounding recording, less kind of lo-fi. Produced by Ray Manzarek. Starts off with The Hungry Wolf. Amazing track. And then some good ballads like Come Back to Me. But yeah, all three albums are solid. If you like just good hook-filled rock and roll with a punk edge, great lyrics, great twisted little harmonies, and just great dark melodies, this is the band for you. X. Next band is Big Star. They put out only 3 albums in their original incarnation, and all of them are just absolute masterpieces, power pop masterpieces. This is #1 record from 1972. It has the song In the Street, which later became the theme song for the '70s show. But every song in here is amazing. You got ballads like 13. You've got rockers like Don't Lie to Me. Every track. What's really notable about this album is the first side really rocks, and the second half is really a little more mellow, a little more melancholy, and it ends on this just really cool vibe. And then their second album, Chris Bell left on the first album. He was one of the main songwriters, and Alex Chilton took over for the 3-piece Big Star. And this, to me, is my absolute favorite Big Star album. It's unbelievable that this never went anywhere. I mean, it would have fit perfect on the radio back in '72 with the Raspberries and such, but it has the classic September Girls, incredible, just one of the great power pop songs of all time. Everything on here is just an incredible song. Maud Lang, Back of a Car, Way Out West, Oh My Soul. Just a perfect record. Then they pretty much splintered, but by the third album, it was kind of just a Alex Chilton deal, and they recorded this really moody, really dark, melancholy record that's absolutely beautiful at the same time. Horrifying one moment, but just beautiful in the next, and there's really nothing like it. Very influential. So yeah, all 3 of these albums have their own different sound. They're all song for song, just masterpieces. So another great one, another great example of a good 3-piece or a good 3-album run here. Big Star. Another one is from the '60s, and that is Procol Harum. I think the majority of people don't realize how great they are. Besides having the Whiter Shade of Pale, I mean, they have about 4 or 5 albums that are just essential, just really great blues-oriented music with the amazing vocals of Gary Brooker and that incredible Hammond organ. They don't really sound like anybody. They're kind of classical, but they're kind of bluesy, but they're sort of prog. But all the songs are just totally memorable and soulful. And this first album is a masterpiece. The debut from '67. And then from '68, you've got just another incredible album, completely different vibe. Shine On Brightly, known for the 17-minute epic In Hell 'Twas in I, like a very, very, very early example of prog rock. But the whole album is amazing. Incredible vocals by Brooker on Quite Rightly So, and throughout the whole album, just an absolute must. Their third album, A Salty Dog, is another must-have, more orchestrated, more varied in sound and style and structure. The title track is just mind-blowing. You've got little blues on here. You've got Wreck of the Hesperus, one of Matthew Fisher's great songs. And of course, the title track is just magnificent. So yeah, great 3-run album there from Procol Harum. And the last one here is REM. I think their first 3 albums are just folk rock masterpieces. The first one, Murmur from '83. I've played a bazillion times, especially in my 20s. Still play it from time to time, but everything on here is just so infectious and doesn't really sound, it sounds like the '60s, but doesn't really. It sounds kind of like not dated one bit since '83. The songs are just, it's when REM really were putting out really unique, cool stuff with their own imprint. So yeah, this is just flawless from beginning to end. And then their second album, Reckoning, is just as good. A little different, maybe a little more upbeat in production, and drums sound maybe a little louder, but Harbor Coat, Seven Chinese Brothers, Time After Time, Second Guessing is one of my favorite songs, and Letter Never Sent, amazing track, just a flawless album. And then their last album, moving into a little more darker territory, little neo-psych kind of first track, Feeling Gravity's Pull. Fables of the Reconstruction is a great record, a great third record. After this, I kind of slowly started losing interest. By the time Green came out, I was kind of not interested anymore. But their first three albums, I think, really stand the test of time so far. I mean, they're about 40 years old at this point. So those are just some examples, just some of my favorites. There's a ton out there. Just let me know what your favorite first three album runs are in the comments section. Let's start a conversation. Thanks for subscribing, all of you who have done so. If you haven't, please do so. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.